Eros and Psyche, Scene 7. Psyche sat beside a stone fountain in the spacious courtyard, pondering on what course of action might win back Eros's heart. Thus far none of her hymns, or prayers to the gods and goddesses of Olympus, had been addressed. At night she would compose masterful poems, praising their omniscience and insurmountable powers in hope of impressing and provoking communication with them through dreams or visions, but all her efforts seemed to fall on deaf ears. Was this a premonition of the calm before the storm? Perhaps she had incurred such wrath that no divine being was willing to put their own rumination and peace of mind on the line for the greater good of reuniting her with her estranged husband. Lost in the eruptions of her own unconscious, Psyche remained oblivious of a supernatural phenomenon unravelling directly beside her, emerging from the pressurized body of water that spewed forth from the gilded head of a winged griffin was a colourless protoplasm that congealed into an anthropomorphic being. Within seconds, the translucency, characteristic of many liquids, was jettisoned for an opaque rose-tinted patina. It then differentiated into a full-fledged living form, as if it were being sculpted on a potter's wheel by an invisible hand. Ridges and depressions around the nose, eyebrows, lips, chin, and cheekbones all formed. Hair sprouted from the head, and the eyes phosphoresced with a deep turquoise colour. "Feeling rather depressed today, are we?" a mechanical voice asked from the stone fountain. Psyche jumped. So deep in thought there. "Who are you?" Psyche asked, trying to master Trevor in her voice. "What do you want here?" "I am the mother of the husband you once had, or hoped to have," it cackled. "You are Eros's mother?" "Yes," it said. "I am she who is known as the Malian, the Cytherean, and the Cyprian. I am the fairest in heaven and on earth, queen, lady, mistress." "Aphrodite?" "In the flesh." "Where is my husband?" asked Psyche. "Recovering from the terrible burns you gave him," said Aphrodite, discarding her robotic vocals. "Not that you'll ever see him again." "I love him." "Shut up," said Aphrodite. "You hurt him. You hurt him badly." "I know. I could strike you down right where you stand," said Aphrodite, "or char you alive for having done that." "It was an accident," Psyche blurted. "Shut up," Aphrodite repeated. "You are nothing but a witch who beguiles everyone into believing that you're the most desirable creature on the planet. You're a cock-trapping whore." "Please, do you honestly think that you could ever hold as much as a twisted candle up to my fairest beauty? Do you think that you could ever compare to me?" "No, you're lying," said Aphrodite. "You're lying. You're an lying, ugly mole of a witch." "I am." "Don't you dare patronize me," said Aphrodite. "I'm not," said Psyche. "I'm genuine." "Then admit that you're ugly." "I am a nobody," Psyche sniffled. "I am nothing, an insignificant speck of dust on the island shores of your divine beauty. If humans have ever thought me to be beautiful, it is because I reflect an infinitesimal shard of your infinite majesty. In attempting to draw to myself your transcendence, of which I am unworthy, makes me as ugly and miserable a creature as Medusa." "Very good," said Aphrodite, grinning. Psyche wiped a tear from her eye. "Will Eros fully recover from the burns?" "Yes," said Aphrodite. "Not that it will be of much or any help to you. Not where you're going." "What are you going to do to me?" asked Psyche. "You're going to a place from whence there is no return," said Aphrodite, "to fornicate with the Titans, the scum of the underworld." "Tartarus?" "Yes." "Please don't do that," Psyche begged. "I'll do anything. I'll be your servant for the rest of my days." "I have a better idea," said Aphrodite. "Let's play a divine game." "What's that?" "It's one of my favourites," Aphrodite sniggered. "I ask you 5 questions relating to the gods. If you answer all 5 correctly, you are forgiven your treason. If not, you will be tossed to the depths of Tartarus like a purpled fruit." "Fine, I accept your challenge." "Let's see if you're as fair as you think you are," said Aphrodite. "First question, what does life wish to accomplish?" Psyche hesitated for a while before answering. "Immortality." Aphrodite frowned. "What is the essence of immortality then?" "Friction, opposition, struggle, conflict." "Name the single most sought after condition that is but a byproduct of immortality," Aphrodite prompted. No, wait. What were you going to say?" "Wait. Answer the question, Psyche." "Freedom." Aphrodite's face reddened like a radish. How did you know that? You're cheating. I'm not, said Psyche. How does one actually cheat in this sort of game? You tell me. I'm not, Psyche insisted. Liar. Aphrodite made a swirling motion in the air with her right hand, and an hourglass appeared. Time, said Psyche. That's right, ill-favoured girl. You mortals measure it with clocks and hourglasses. How do I measure it? Aphrodite asked, fluttering her eyelids. You don't, said Psyche. You live in a timeless zone. Aphrodite grabbed the levitating hourglass with granular red sands, running through it, and hurled it at Psyche with all her might. Psyche possessed great reflexes and swung clear with plenty of time to spare. The instrument crash-landed on a wooden table and shattered into little pieces. The goddess didn't look at all content with the way things were panning out. She clicked her fingers and a swinging pendulum appeared. What might this symbolize? Eternal recurrence? Psyche blurted. The pendulum moves back and forth, just as everything happens over and over and over again. Someone is helping you, said Aphrodite. I can sense it. No. Aphrodite exhaled a cloud of dust which formed into a horse-drawn carriage mounted by two individuals, a driver and a master. What is this? The sixth question, said Psyche. You've already put forth 5, and I believe I answered all of them correctly. Oh, really? Well, now it's 10. Why? 'Cause I said so, said Aphrodite, scowling. Now answer the question. It's an allegory for the human being, said Psyche. The carriage is the body, the horse is the stand-in for the person's feelings or emotions, the coachman is the intellect, and the master is the conscious. You're cheating, screamed Aphrodite, stepping towards Psyche and grabbing tufts of her hair. Someone is telling you the answers. Let go, please. Admit that you're cheating. I'm not. What's this over here? Aphrodite yanked the chain with the giant pearl from Psyche's neck, severing it. No! She held the pearl up in the air. I know what this is. The heart of time, said Psyche. It's from a giant clam in the deepest part of the ocean. A present from Eros, no doubt. Give it back to me, please. No. Psyche watched as Aphrodite generated an interdimensional portal over the sea by muttering a few unintelligible words under her breath. The goddess then flung the heavy pearl through with a sidereal sweeping motion that mimicked the technique of a javelin throwing before breaking out in wild fits of laughter. Listening to a goddess take pleasure from inducing misfortune upon a mere mortal was like a human taunting an animal by starving it to death. It angered Psyche beyond reckoning. It blew the fuse mediating the psychic transistor within the vehicle of her unconscious, leaving a lesser order maiden as the only driver. She had just been driven to the precipice of fatalism, enough to realize that if she was to be swept into the infernal waters of chaos, it might as well be on her own terms. Acting partly from a bubbling rage beneath her skin, and partly from a heartfelt desire to vindicate her love for Eros, she charged through the dimensional rip, screaming at the top of her lungs, before Aphrodite could dematerialize it. Everything transpired within the space of a few seconds. 1 minute she was at the mercy of Aphrodite's will in the exotic gardens of her own home, and the next she was thrashing about in the middle of the ocean somewhere. Her heart thumped so loud she thought it might burst out of her own chest. She tried to scoop the pearl out of the water, but the motion of ensnaring it in the clasp of her hand merely pushed it further away. All she could do was watch as her most prized possession sunk deeper and deeper into the abyss. Psyche did her best to remain afloat. She flapped her arms about, screaming for help until fatigue finally benumbed her limbs enough for the sea to swallow her whole. Even though she could hold her breath for extended periods of time, she knew that she'd have to inhale at some point. The burning sensation expanded in her lungs like helium gas, trying to enfeeble the willpower to stay alive and let natural processes take their course. For a while there was nothing but a whirling sensation as she spun around in circles, with her eyes clenched firmly shut. She sunk lower and lower into the infernal regions, closer and closer to death. Luckily for Psyche, the latter never came. for a pair of familiar hands fastened themselves tightly around her waist and propelled her aloft at the speed of a bullet train. She wheezed for breath as they broke the surface.